Shut up and sit down. I like to ride my bike.
I'd like to introduce you to a podcast with a lot of charm, talent, and wit. Unfortunately, I don't have that option, so instead, you are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. Tip of the day, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. That said, you know what you've got to do, so go get her done.
I got fancy little streamers coming out of my handlebars.
I got carts in my spokes that make sounds as it flies the cars.
I got lights all around and reflectors in the back.
I basket on the front that are really useful rack.
But I hate cyclists, bike riders, people who ride bicycles.
Does someone need a hug?
Nobody leaves until we work this out. Cage match.
Cage matches? Yeah, they work. How could they not work? If they didn't work, everybody would still be in the cage.
All right, welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von During. I'm here with Lance Hepler.
Lance freaking Hepler. What's up, jackoffs?
This podcast immediately took a nosedive.
Took a dive.
Man, we almost made it a whole second and a half before.
Swearing.
Too much bitching around here, man.
There's a lot of bitching.
Oh, there's a lot happening.
To his right, the one and only Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? You guys, I don't know what to say. You guys look cranky. You look cranky today.
I'm happy as a clam.
I need some more coffee.
Cranky clam. Cranky clam.
One cranky clam.
Okay. I did get shorted on my coffee consumption. Maybe that's my problem.
There you go.
Maybe I need to go grab a cup of coffee mid-show. Let you guys complain about me while I'm gone.
Yeah, we could change our frowns upside down and
There you go.
sip a little coffee and we'll be right as rain.
Yeah, I got gypped out of my second cup just because I had too much stuff going on this morning and I forgot about it. And the next thing you know, we're recording a podcast. So
we've been before the podcast, before we press record, we've just been sitting around bitching for the past half hour.
We've been bitching for half an hour.
Guess what this podcast is going to be about?
Had something else in mind, but too much bitching going on. So bitching. Let's move on.
No Ian Gibson today. He is in
because he's a nice guy.
He's a nice
positive
guy.
influence.
He would not join us. He's
Have
like,
you guys ever have you ever had bitchin' sauce? I think Costco sells it.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, that stuff is good.
Tasty.
We're big consumers of that stuff.
Yeah.
We used to call it itching sauce because our kids are like little kids.
Give me the itching sauce. This is the itch session.
This is the itch session.
I got cream for that.
Oh, we suck.
Ian's in Garmisch, Bavaria, which is like between Austria.
Hold on.
Oh, please play the horns.
Where's he at?
Ian's at the let's see, the Colosseo restaurant in Garmisch,
I've been there.
Germany.
Been there.
Is it Germany or is it Austria?
It's Germany.
It's Germany.
Yep.
That's where Ian is.
It's close to Austria. It's on the border.
He's off there screwing off, having a great time.
Lucky guy.
Good for him.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, let's do some backpedaling. Who wants to go first? Oh, Matt, you always go first.
I can do that. I have not been doing that much. I've been running a little bit every day. I'm trying to think if I've been doing any swimming and biking. Not much. Cross-country season is in full effect, and so that's been consuming all of my time.
Dude, how did you even make it here today? We're borrowing time from something else.
Yes.
Okay.
Work.
Thanks.
Yes.
Forget work.
You still work?
Thanks, Matt.
I mean, I guess cross-country coaching is a job that I get paid for. They just push over like pennies occasionally. Sometimes they throw it and see if I'll like jump on it. It's like a game for them. They're like, oh, someone dropped a dime. Don't worry, Coach Legrand will jump on that, baby. Guys got to get paid today. So
love it.
Yep.
Good deal.
How's the calf Achilles thing feeling? I know that last week you mentioned that it was kind of bugging because you guys ran.
Yeah, I ran 12 miles with my wife and felt great. We were moving really quickly, and towards the end of that run, I was like, oh, I can tell something's a little off. And I think it's just as we get old, you start to have these little like calf tears. Let us know if that's something that you guys have experienced. I noticed a lot of like older guys have the same issue. It's probably like we're heavier and we push off the ground with your calves. And
you know who doesn't have that issue?
Cyclists.
Me, because I ride bikes. But everything else falls apart.
All I hear is a lot of bitching, man.
This is a running podcast. So it's been kind of nagging me, and I've been taking it easy. And then 2 days ago, I think it was like, oh yeah, I did like 2 miles instead of my normal like 3 or 5 or 7.
You're
like,
feeling it.
I was like, yep, this is hurt. So I need to get back to some swimming and some biking.
There you go.
So that I can let this calf give it a little chance to heal.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Hepler.
Yep, I raced my bike a couple of times this last week.
You sure did.
Did you survive?
I survived.
Did you lose any skin?
I did not crash, not once, in 2 cyclocross races.
Tear any calf muscles?
I did
Getting off the
not.
bike?
I did not tear my calf. I'm feeling great. Forget you, Matt.
Forget you, old man.
I did the Madras Cross, the first race in the Harvest Cyclocross Series.
How was that?
Not super well attended because it was in Central Oregon.
Did you spend
and
the
not
night
around Portland?
Did you spend the night before?
Yeah, I went the night before
and stayed in the van.
Yep. Lots of people did. Tons of people were camping. It was very cool. It was a great vibe. I had a great time. It was a lot of fun.
You pre-rode the course?
I pre-rode the I rode for like an hour and a half. I probably did like 12 laps the night before.
Oh my gosh.
Just because. I wasn't going hard. I was just familiarizing myself with the corners and what was happening. And then a teammate showed up and I wanted to show him around and show the lines. And so I don't know. I just kept riding. So it was great. We had a great time. I raced the 50+ field. There was only like 25 of us, but pretty stacked.
Yeah, it's too close to Bend.
And lots of all like the Bend fast guys.
There's a story in here, and I'm sure you're going to tell it, that made me laugh, and I so appreciate how he went about this because it's a big
dude.
I'm better than you moment.
Yeah, it is. Fantastic.
You want to bitch about that?
Yeah, I will bitch about that. So I did get a call up. So I was like the third call up because I was third in the series last year. So I get a call up. And a lot of my competitors were there. Bart Bowen showed up. Bart's a former not only Cat 1 roadie, but he was a professional cyclist for a number of years, and now he's a local. He's a local coach, or he coaches people in the Bend area, whatnot. He shows up to these cyclocross races. He got a call up as well. Completely disregarded it and lined up at the back of the field. He's like, "I'm here for practice." It took him almost 2 laps to catch me, and then he just went right past me. He did go, "Hey, Hep, jump on my wheel." He said something like that. He goes, "Come with me." And I'm like, "Okay." I took 2 strokes and went, "Nope, can't go with you. You're too fast."
How many watts do you think he was putting out when you were trying to get on his wheel?
I don't know. He's a skinny guy. He's
So
super fast.
Similar watts to you. And it's just like he's just weighs,
moving faster.
Weighs $1.20, and then
he's just better. He's just better. He ended up winning the race by not quite a bit, but he rode up to the first 3 guys and sat on them for a couple laps, and then
it's like a cat playing with a mouse. It's just like, you marry guys,
awesome.
and they talk a little smack back there, and like, okay, it's time to go.
Bart's great.
Yeah,
he's a great guy. He's
good for him.
Not a douchebag at all. He's just like a cool guy and just does his thing. And like, I don't need to call up. I'll stay.
I just think that's so cool that he starts in the back voluntarily and then just like rides through the field and wins the race.
Yeah.
So
pretty cool. I ended up 8th.
How would he do? I'm sorry. How would he do in the 1-2, like the open?
He also races the Master 1-2s.
Oh, of course he does. Yeah.
So he not only raced the 50+, but then like 3 hours later he raced the Master 1-2s and won that as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So and the Master 1-2s is a 40+ field. In the Open 1-2s, he'd be somewhere top 5, I think.
Yeah.
Probably.
Good.
Something like that. So he's pretty fast. We had a ton of fun. It was a good time, even though there was a long power flat sections on this course, like paved bike path sections, and so didn't really favor a guy that generally turns faster than other people. Yeah. So without as many turns, I couldn't make up the difference, which was all good. It was still a good time. It got so hot later in the afternoon because we're having this weird September heat wave in Oregon. Me and Dan Beal and Cameron, we spent probably 3 hours for the last 3 races just passing out bottles to guys going by so they could dump on themselves or have a drink of water. And we were doing it to anybody who would take the bottle.
Yeah.
It wasn't just teammates. We were
What
just
kind of temps were you looking at?
97?
Oofed.
Yeah.
That's not what you want to be doing in the middle of the day on a bike, sucking wind.
When the 1-2 race started, it wasn't too bad, but like 2 laps in, I'm like, this is not good. And so we went over, and Ober had agreed that there would be one feed session in one feed zone in one section where you could pass out bottles. And so me and Dan just sat there and refilled bottles and
That's great.
with the cap off so they could just dump it on them. And so lots of people were taking it. So it was a lot of fun. It made the rest of the day kind of go by. Then we had our first Trophy Cup of the season. That is a local Portland race at Portland International Raceway. It's a night race. It's a party race. Because it's in Portland, lots of people showed up. There were almost 500 racers there. Women, beginners, and juniors race for free.
Wow.
So
that's smart. That's cool.
They're sponsored by, I think, Inhabit Real Estate is still sponsoring Inhabit. And so so because of that, it brings more people in. Plus, it's in Portland, so everybody's there.
That's a great way to plant seeds, though. That's how you get people to come out and get excited and want to keep coming. And good job.
So weirdly enough, I also raced the 50+ race. There was almost 50 racers in it, but it had many, many turns in this and not so many long power sections, and I ended up second.
Good job, dude.
So it was like the best Trophy Cup result I've had in 2 or 3 years, which is pretty good. I beat some guys I don't think I've ever beaten before, so that was exciting for me. But other than that, I've just been riding bikes and fixing bikes, and I still am riding every day. And I'm still trying to do some cross skills sessions because I did nothing before either of these races. I didn't even practice a dismount before either of these races, which is really stupid. But
have you gone to any of the dialed cross practices yet?
I've been out of town for the first 2, and this third one that we had, I had a college buddy in town that I couldn't. I needed to entertain him, so I couldn't come to practice.
Should have entertained him at practice. He rides bikes.
Bring them. Bring your friends.
So anyway, that's it.
Oh, Lance just burned all his matches.
Lance burned all his matches.
Speaking of that guy,
Dylan is the best. We need him on the podcast all the time. He's so much fun.
Dylan, when you hear this, because I think you sometimes
I
listen.
hope he listens occasionally.
He listens.
Shoot me a text, man. Shoot me a text. Let's get you back on here.
Yeah, he needs to come back.
See if he listens. But he did just drop a video yesterday
Did he
for
really?
the Portland Trophy Cup.
Trophy Cup.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
He has a buddy who's like an MC running around with a mic, and they were just randomly interviewing people, like not only on the side, but they're trying to interview people in the race. They're like, why isn't anybody stopping?
Yeah.
How hard is this downhill? Do you like these barriers? Why don't you? Can we please somebody stop and talk to me?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
It's pretty funny.
Quap Face 2, if you want to go watch that on
Quap Face 2. Quap Face 1 was taken.
on the
I love that part.
YouTubes.
I love that part. Yeah, Quap Face 1 was taken.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I love the stuff he does, and it needs
It's
more
so
attention.
good.
So go watch, go listen. Is that the same guy that he does the PA or the announcement stuff with the Thick Crit Daddies or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys that does color commentary because he's just freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just rolls with it. So
Yeah.
cool. My back pedal isn't all that great. It's kind of like Matt didn't really do a whole heck of a lot. We wrapped up the flogging ride, but we talked about that last week and then rolled into this week. And we actually wrapped up the fog hat ride. So those 2 rides are done until next year. This past week, we did do the Tuesday night gravel ride. That was a blast. Small, but a blast.
Yeah.
I
think I saw you guys going around did you guys go around the roundabout?
Yeah.
It's part of that. I think I saw you guys
well,
on the way out.
we kind of cut through the roundabout when we're doing that ride.
I think I saw you guys on the way out that night, maybe Tuesday night.
I think there was like 5 or 6 of us. It was a small group.
Yeah.
It was a
You were
fun
in the
group.
front. Jake probably pushed the pace, I assume.
Nah, not quite yet, but once it turned to dirt, yeah. Man, I didn't know that Trophy Cup had started that night. I'm like, why is there nobody coming to this ride? And I'm like, and then sure enough, I saw
Realized it was Trophy Cup.
Yeah, it was like on our Slack channel. We've got this like upcoming races things, and somebody posted something, and I'm like, oh, I should probably go check and see what that is, and just whatever. And I think it was Brett said, hey, Dan, what day is it? And then Dan chimes in, and Dan's little quote is, it's race day. So that's always a fun thing. So that made a lot of sense that you guys weren't out there. But I was joking with Lance that, man, we should have like redirected and rode over to Trophy Cup because my legs felt pretty good. If I didn't have to get off the bike and run at all, maybe.
I had 2 sets of barriers and a flyover you had to run over.
Really?
At Trophy Cup.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, that was a good Tuesday night gravel ride. Watts are looking good. Everything's feeling good. I just wish that I wasn't falling apart. So the last thing is we had kind of teased this for a bit about the new ride that we were going to do on Thursdays. because the flogging ride was done, and we have this thing set up at Vancouver Lake. I took the time to sit down and create the route and do all of the stuff, and we did our Wednesday lunch or shop ride. We went out there and kind of showed a few people and did one lap around it and rode back. And I was going to post it. And I'm looking at the forecast, and I'm looking at the AQI. What was it? 103 degrees and an AQI of like 100 and something.
It was not good last night.
Yeah,
it was not
just
good.
never.
It was interesting because even like it really just got really bad from 4 o'clock on.
Yeah, the AQI just got worse and worse. Yeah,
it was surprising. And then I was looking at some of the data, and it was like worse on one side of the lake than the other.
Interesting.
Like where we are on this side of the lake, it was bad.
Yeah. So I just didn't even post it. So I'm fingers crossed going to be able to post it up next week. So if you're interested, keep an eye out for that. Other than that, nothing special. Moving on. Right?
Moving on.
Moving on.
What are we doing next? Patreon?
We are going to do that.
Do we
but
need to hear some news? Oh, Champ Bailey.
Champ is here. We are almost done with the Vuelta. We have the
Almost.
Vuelta a España. There are 2 more stages to go. Today
We'll just call
is
it done.
Friday.
Let's call it done.
Let's call it done.
Let's call it done. We know who's going to win.
Ben O'Connor just held on by the skin of his teeth for so long to that red jersey.
Do you think he's bitching about that today?
He's probably bitching about that.
He held on. I don't even think he's bitching about it. I don't even think he's bitching about it. I think he's just like, I did the best I could. And he knows he was done.
Finally, Roglic takes him today.
I was really hoping that he'd be about a minute ahead of Roglic today. Going into this weekend, I'm not quite sure what the stage looks like tomorrow. Is it
Tomorrow's terrible.
Yeah, it looks
Is
big.
it terrible?
Super hard.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was just hoping that
by terrible, we mean awesome.
Yes.
I was kind of hoping there'd be like 45 seconds to a minute going into that final time trial because O'Connor, I'm sure, can time trial okay, but he's not going to be at the same level as Roglic.
No.
And I wanted Roglic to maybe be able to pass him there, make it interesting, but
Makes the time trial interesting.
It would make it interesting.
foregone conclusion that Roglic is pretty much going to win this unless he crashes
he's
tomorrow.
almost 2 minutes up now. So not only did he win by like a minute 40, but he also got a time bonus today.
Is it 10 second?
Time bonus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I figure tomorrow he'll put more time in, and then then time trial will be. I don't think the time trial is going to be exciting.
No,
unfortunately.
Ben O'Connor's still in second. Enrique Mas is now in third. And
that's the interesting thing is like,
those
is Enrique
two.
Mas going to get second?
They're
tomorrow?
25 seconds apart.
Yeah.
Ben O'Connor and Enrique Mas. So
tomorrow.
So tomorrow. It'll
be.
all be down to tomorrow, which is kind of an ugly mountain stage.
Yeah.
So
Sepp Kuss would have held on.
Sepp Kuss raced well today. He was 5 or 6, but he didn't quite hold on. And then we lost Wout.
Yep.
We lost
Yes.
Wout, not yesterday.
Day
Was
before?
it yesterday or the day before?
Bitch about it, my friend.
Wasn't
Bitch about
today.
it.
Freaking wet roads and bull crap.
The last thing that he
Dog
needed,
meat.
the last thing that he needed was a crash.
Yeah.
It's the last thing.
He's had a rough season.
He went down for the first time in that race and was able to collect himself.
Yep.
Got back onto the peloton, rode through the peloton, and eventually went off the front again in another break. And it was looking like, hey, this might have some sticking power.
And won the King of the Mountain points again for the next climb.
And then they just came into a slippery corner, and the guy in front of him went down. He had nowhere to go and ended up going into an embankment and slammed his knee. And he was unfortunately done.
He jumped back on the bike. It looked like he might be able to go. As soon as he took one pedal stroke, he was like, nope.
Yep. His doctor's saying, too, that he's going to be shut down for a few weeks. So
He's not just shut down, he's done for the year.
not even going to cross race?
Yeah, no. They said he's done for the year.
What I read this morning was he was going to be off the bike for the next 2 to 3 weeks, and they weren't sure what he was going to do. If they updated that to say that he's just done for the year.
Did they do an X-ray and see like what's?
Yeah, he didn't break anything.
Yeah,
No broken bones, but he split his knee open. So stitches and bull
Just
crap.
probably not
and
biking for a little
yeah.
bit.
So he's going to be off the bike completely for a week or two.
But he doesn't. He's one of those rare people that doesn't need to bike to win races.
Do you think we'll see him in a cyclocross race?
I don't know. It sure is more interesting when he's there.
And he was really coming into form. He was looking good. I mean, he was potentially going to carry 2 jerseys to the finish on this.
He could have taken. He had a commanding lead in the green jersey.
Yeah.
And he was. I don't know if he could have held on to the King of the Mountain
You
jersey.
never know
but
that-
if you're that motivated, you're like, oh.
He would have summoned the Wout gods, and he would have willed it to happen. But
That was sad.
What I was most interested in was how he would finish and then roll that into the World Championships.
Yeah.
The World Championships.
Could he have done something there?
Yeah. Poor guy.
Damn it! Wout, stay on your bike.
Yeah, this is a year he's going to want to forget. It's just been a bad one for him.
Yep. Do you think though he's going to race cross, or do you think that's done too?
I don't know. I mean, those races are December and January.
Yeah, so it's a ways away.
He probably will.
He could be done for the year and still do. He could still do cross in January.
Yeah, he could.
That could be an interesting. Like, I didn't lie. We are done for the year.
But he's done what he's wanted with cross. He wants to win monuments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
you get in the same sense with Vanderpool as well. I mean, he's going to come back and race this year, but do you think he's kind of almost done with cross?
Yes.
I mean, they're getting to that age where
they're also so good. Like when MVP raced, he didn't lose.
Correct.
It's just like, okay.
He's so much better than everybody else on a cross course.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does the season, wins the races that he does, gets another jersey.
But it's also like, I've done that crap a million times, so I would rather win monuments. But I don't know.
But it's not an either or.
No, you could do both.
I mean,
as long as you don't
right now,
break yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But I think cyclocross, I think those guys are somewhat more safe in cyclocross races, which sounds, this is coming from me, this sounds absolutely insane. I feel like both Wout and MVP, when they do cyclocross, they don't get hurt. They may go down, but it's like soft falls and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, unless you impale yourself on a stake, you're pretty much just hitting the mud, you know? So
superficial wounds.
And those guys know how to handle their bikes and all that stuff. I think for them, not for me, obviously, that there's not a lot of downsides to doing cyclocross the whole season. I don't think it's going to affect their next season too much. So I don't see a problem with it. I don't think it bothers. I don't think it upsets their monuments chances.
At what age, though, do you get to the point where, like, dude, I can't do this the way that I'm doing this year round? I mean, if you're racing cross from like November till like, you know, beginning of February, and then you're going to jump in all of the spring classics, and then you're going to jump into world tours, and you got things sprinkled in there like Olympics and you know, world championships.
When do you do the downtime?
When do you need a little bit of downtime to let your body recover?
When you crash, when you get hurt, that's your downtime.
Yeah, maybe
that's it. That's the only chance.
I don't know. I can't think about doing that year over year over year. It's fun when you're a certain age and you recover quickly, and it's still like, you know, fresh. But after a certain amount of time, these guys have been going at it for a long time. I don't know.
Since last cyclocross season.
What might be motivated because of this crash and how good a form he had, you know, to come back and do something, but who knows?
It's just tough because, like, it kind of could play out like last year in a lot of ways, where it's those two, and Wout was kind of second last year.
And then neither of them do the world championships.
It wasn't that exciting,
right?
To be honest, watching it. I mean, I'm sure the true fans of cyclocross are probably yelling at the radio right now. Dialed podcast. What are you talking about? It is super exciting when the best race each other, but I don't know.
What else is going on in the world of cycling? Any other racing or anything else fancy going on?
No. I mean, there was Rebecca's Private Idaho happened. Not a lot of pros. I didn't go this year.
Weird.
There's something a little sketchy that happened at the Gravel World Championships. That's not the Gravel World Championships.
Yeah, Gravel Worlds. Yep. It's not. It's called Gravel Worlds in Nebraska. There was a very close call with the pro men's field. They were.
Yes.
They were not respecting the center line rule because there's no lines on gravel roads, and they came up over a blind hill, and a car was coming the other way. No, that wasn't it. There was a car that was coming from the right, and it blew through a stop sign and almost took out the field.
Is that what it? Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So a little scary how that happened, and a couple of the pros just straight up bailed.
I'm done.
Yep. Said I'm not doing this anymore. You guys can see the video of John Borselman. It's not the video of that, but you can see how they are on.
He's just like
they're full left, just trying to gutter.
Full left.
Yep.
Full left gutter, going over a blind hill, and Borselman just says, "I'm done."
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he pulled right. Wow. He's like, "I'm not going to go over another blind hill." Yeah.
Do they have a vehicle, like a, I don't know, support vehicle or something like that that's out off the front?
And trying to film things or do things, but
just like warning traffic or stopping traffic, or do they have flaggers out there? I mean,
the thing is, like, any driveway or whatever, if someone pulls out just a little bit, those guys are riding their guts out in the left lane, like full left.
Yes.
Full left.
Correct.
It's crazy.
So it was a little scary that happened.
Yeah. And I don't know what to do because you don't blame the people up front. They're like, screw this. I don't want these people on my wheel.
So this weekend is the Gravel National Championships for the U.S.
Totally different than Gravel World.
It's also in Nebraska, but it's in Gering, Nebraska, not Lincoln. Mm-hmm. And they are having a rolling closure for the pro fields.
Okay.
So for the elite fields, they're having a rolling closure, but it's only like the front group. If you miss the front group, it's not a rolling closure if you're off the back.
Yeah, rules of the road, yeah.
Yeah, rules of the road. So, but they're trying to have a rolling closure for both the men and the women, and they're having a rule where the women cannot draft men in that as well. So that's new, but it also means it has to be marshaled, which is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so, but that's we
but
talked
for the
about
top
this.
3 or 4 or 5 or 10 women, it shouldn't be too difficult to marshal.
You got a motorcycle and they go out there and they look and they.
But they need like 5 motorcycles.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But it's the threat of that though too,
right.
Which I think is like the thing that a lot of people don't think about is like you make a rule, you say that there's going to be people, you could make up a number. There's going to be 40 motorcycles out there looking for people. You put 5 out there looking for people, and there's in the back of your mind, you're not going to be that girl that drafts off the guy's team because what if you're one of the people that gets caught?
I think they're going to be, honest enough that like, hey, there's a rule at this race, so we're not doing it.
Yeah.
So there was a point at Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder where I was riding and I caught 2 women pros, and as I caught them, I even asked, "Do you want us to help you guys, or do you want us to leave you alone?"
Yeah,
and they both said, "No, help us.
Help.
There's no rule, but thank you for asking." Because I'm like, if you guys want to do your own thing and stay away from us, that's totally fine. We'll stay on the other side of the road, but not in the left gutter.
Yeah.
So kind of excited.
I think having. Right. I mean, maybe gravel races don't want rules, but these seem like I think everyone's on board for this.
Well, it's a safety issue. It's not a spirit of gravel issue,
Spirit of the jorts, okay? I mean, I feel like this is...
And the deeper, the more, it's just going to... Gravel racing is going to get more professionalized. Yep. The more money there's in it, the more that pros are coming to it, it's just going to get more, quote-unquote, professionalized.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
And gravel racing is awesome, and so people are going to do it because...
there's no road races anymore.
Because there's no road races anymore, and people don't necessarily want to ride as much road as they used to.
Mm-hmm. Champ out. That's it.
Out.
Thank you, Champ. Appreciate that. Let's do a little drawing for our Patreons. We've got a bunch of names in this jar here. We want to thank everybody who's been a Patreon. Lance is going to pull one of them out of there, and we've got a bin at the lab full of all kinds of stuff. As a matter of fact, I think we just put even more stuff in there not too long ago.
What you got in there? Anything fun? Socks? There's socks in there.
I don't. This is you said this
a
is
new car.
You said this
windshield wiper blade.
Running podcast. I believe there's some Knox gear in there. Do you know what that is? Those like little vest things that have the light up like different colors and rainbows.
Okay,
and like
cool.
There's one of those things in there now, which is kind of cool.
I think that's
you
good.
can use those for bikes, and it'd be really good for somebody that's commuting on their bike. So
just
kind of cool.
Any reason to be more visible out on the road is a good thing, whether you're running or riding.
All kinds of stuff. So Lance just dug around in there and pulled a name out of the hat, and who do we got?
The winner is Edward Dudlick.
Edward Dudlick.
Ed X himself. He come on down to the lab and get yourself some flashy, weird,
whatever you want.
Flashy, weird, whatever.
All kinds of goodies in there. Yeah, if you're interested in becoming a Patreon yourself, we finally got this thing hooked back up to the website, but you can go to dialedpodcast.com and it'll take you to the podcast page on the Dialed Cycling website, and you can click on the Patreon link there to take you to Patreon and check out all the different options we have and pick something that works best for you. We'll put your name in the hat. We really appreciate that. Everybody who is an active Patreon, super appreciative, because that's what keeps this little dog and pony show from making me bankrupt.
Falling under.
So
keeping us supplied with sprinkly water.
Bubbly water.
Bubbly waters. All right.
Waterloo. Battle of Waterloo.
Hey.
Here we are.
Do you like Waterloo better than Kirkland?
No, I don't really have a preference between those two. Maybe Waterloo's a little bit better than Kirkland. I don't know. Are we gonna lose our Kirkland sponsorship?
I want to bitch about it because we lost our Kirkland sponsorship. That's why we're drinking
We
Waterloo.
lost
So
it.
bitch
Yeah.
about Kirkland kicking rocks on us.
Stupid Kirkland.
Yeah.
You feel like bitching about stuff, Matt?
Yeah, I do.
I got a bone to pick.
Okay.
What's this called again, Lance?
It's called the bitch sesh.
The bitch
Itchin' session.
It's because that's what it's the Real Housewives. If you watch the Real Housewives,
Which
they always
we all do.
We all do.
We all do.
They have bitch sessions They have a podcast called Bitch Session. Don't listen to it; it's terrible.
Okay, so they have a podcast called The Bitch Session, but do they have bitch sessions on the show?
That's what the whole show is, Matt. If you ever watch the Real Housewives,
if you ever watch, okay, stop. Let me stop you right there.
All they do is bitch at each other about different things.
I think
and overreact.
I might have seen like a commercial or some sort of promo video, but I have never actually watched a Real Wife. Real Housewives of
Real Housewives of
blah 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 blah.
Real Housewives of Orange County, Real Housewives of Atlanta, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City, that's the one I'm excited about.
My daughter just filmed a promo for it in
That's what I want to
Provo
see.
Canyon.
I want to see the promo for that. I don't care to see the whole.
Is it bitch session or bitch sesh?
The podcast is called Bitch Sesh.
Okay.
So we stealing that farm?
That sounds even dumber.
Dumber?
than bitch sesh.
So which one are you gonna?
We need to steal Bitch Sesh.
Okay. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. What's this called?
The bitch sesh.
There you go.
I don't know if the deep voice. Yeah, who knows?
Do we need to try that again?
No, it's good.
What's it called, Lance?
We nailed it.
Bitch sesh.
I don't know. Which one's better.
I'll work on that. Cool. All right. Let's bitch about things. Funny thing that the whole Real Housewives thing started in Orange County.
Right.
Basically right where I lived.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my wife used to like work at a school district down there, and at the school that she was at, she was always interacting with some of the kids that were on the show, and we used to see them at like Costco, and like I had another friend that had like a party rental company, and he was always setting stuff up for like them, like tents and parties and all these other things. So I was interacting with these people all the time, but I'm really happy that I never got to really have to work with them because just leave it at that.
It might be the worst show on television. I'll just share that.
Yeah.
It's so fake.
Yeah.
And are we going to bitch about the Real Housewives? That's what I'm going to bitch about.
We're going to bitch about the bitch
about the-
sessions. That's where we are going with this podcast.
Matt, what would you like to bitch about today?
Okay. The fall is stupid. It is stupidly busy. Okay. Here. Let me just start with this. I did
Just
my
quit.
I quit all things. I feel like we should quit all things and just be like, no, the fall is going to be sit in front of the TV time. So I did a meeting with the entire cross-country team and all their parents, and I went up there and I'm like, when you look at your calendar and you're putting all these dates in there, and I'm the part of the problem. I'm giving you all these dates, these races, there's practices, there's back-to-school night thing, there's spike night to get shoes, there's team dinners, and you just want to look at your calendar and just cry yourself to sleep. It is horrible. And
you have to go to all of these things.
I go to all the coaching things.
Yeah.
I go to all the coaching things, and I'm part of the problem. And I'm also doing stuff like, hey, the girls team should get together and do like this T-shirt thing and make shirts for this race or whatever. Okay, they're like, okay, well, we need you to be there for this. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's what I'm doing tonight.
Do you have an assistant?
So I have 2 assistant coaches, and they are very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, I missed something last night. We were like the team worked the concession stands, right? So at the football game, they had the freshman football game, and our team worked the concession stands. I didn't go because it's just
you're a terrible coach.
It was too much. It was enough.
Coach.
Terrible coach. I did go to the spike night the night before that, and then pizza night as part of that. It's like,
how come you haven't created an app and integrated in Chat GPT and some video stuff and just have their phones coach them, and then you're on all of their phones, but you don't have to be there and go do other things.
Yes.
Okay, here's my advice.
That's what they want.
Come on.
You need to quit doing this until your own kids are actually in the program.
This is the first year. This is the first year that Ethan could have been in cross country because he's a freshman.
Wait, now he's swimming.
We signed him up for cross country. Let me bitch about it.
Let me bitch about
He's
Ethan
done.
not doing cross
He did
country.
maybe 3 practices, and he had fun every single time he did stuff. But yeah, I just cut him from the team. He's not showing up. I have to go in, find Ethan LeGrant, cut. So he got cut last night from the team. I don't know if I've told him that. When he listens to the podcast,
there's no way he's listening.
Wait, I'm cut. He's going, wait, I'm cut.
He doesn't even know yet.
So did he just didn't want to do it anymore? Or
well, he never really wanted to do it in the first place. We signed him up hoping that he would kind of like do it and enjoy it and have fun. And we really wanted him to do the first race because the first race is this like mud run. It's a super fun event. That's all day Saturday, tomorrow. So I'll be gone from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Tillamook?
It's in Tillamook.
Yep, I remember that for some reason.
Yeah, so we'll do that tomorrow. Big day tomorrow. Fall stupid busy. But guess what? The high school band, is leaving at 3 a.m. After playing at a football game. They'll wake up at 3 a.m. and go to what they call the Husky Band Day, where it's like they go up to UW and they play the football game up there.
Wow.
And they'll be gone from like 3 a.m. till 9 p.m. So
Ethan's in the band?
He's in band.
Okay.
Because we were short on, we needed some more stuff to do.
What instrument does he play? No, he plays the piano.
He plays the piano and he plays the saxophone.
Okay.
So he's got piano lessons. We got to schedule those in.
Smooth jazz?
Smooth. Yeah, he's all jazz. He's all kinds of jazz. Yeah. So he's also like qualified to be in the like club jazz program for the high school.
Wow.
So we got to do that in the mornings before school, I think. Oof, and then when swim starts, he'll be swimming before school. So we'll have a conflict there.
Yes,
it's just like, and that's just one kid. I got 3 kids.
And
you got to cut some kids loose.
Got to cut some kids. and then coaching and making YouTube videos is stupid right now.
Pumping out the videos lately.
Have I?
Kind of.
I mean,
there was a question mark on that
short
one.
period of time where you didn't.
There was
I
like
think
3 videos.
you missed a week, but there was another period of time where like 3 came out within a week of each other.
I probably had 3 videos in a week, but they were like one was 1 day late, one was a week and a half late, or something. I mean, like they're all like not on time. Like you should post these videos like when they release the product and stuff like that.
Better late than never.
I'm just failing on all fronts. Coaching, actually, I think I'm doing okay for
You're
now.
not a failure in my eyes, man.
Thank you, Lance. But there's lots to bitch about for sure. It's too busy.
Does Ethan
fall
play the
needs to settle
trombone?
down.
Play you the sad trombone song?
Wah, wah.
Wah,
Sam,
wah.
my middle kid, is playing trombone, and he's hoping to qualify for jazz band. Like usually that's a 7th grade, 8th grade thing. He's in 6th grade, and he's hoping to qualify for jazz band with the trombone. So he can play the sad song for me, which would be nice. And they're all swimming, and swimming started back up, club swimming. So that's every night. Jeez. Every night.
Every night.
Every night.
Honestly,
it's 2 hours every night.
Is there a sport that your kids can play that's worse than swimming when it comes to just being a major time suck?
It's a lot of time, but the one thing that's nice is they all 3 do the same sport. Like your kids do different sports,
Correct.
Which means you're going different directions.
Correct.
Which is hard.
Yeah.
And we have friends
But
that have
do
like
they
3
swim
kids in 3 separate sports, and we're like,
Do they
boy.
swim at the same time at the same place?
No, they typically have 3 different practice times, which is not great because before the fall, I would drive back and forth. So we've had to hire someone to come take our kids back and forth. So I'm probably paying someone roughly 2 to 10 times what I'm making for coaching to like take my kids around. So we're losing money on this deal any way you look at it. Plus the fact that I can't do my normal job, so there's just nothing but like
you have a real
shedding
job too.
Shedding money to
you're sitting here with us idiots doing something also not for money.
But the bitch session is important.
Get it out, man.
The bitch session is important.
It is important.
But I think before the podcast we were talking about like, I haven't been able to like make lunches for the kids or make dinner for the family. Like that really kind of sucks. And I usually do half of those, and my wife really does the better job on all the things. But like I need to definitely try to get some of that in somehow. But cross country practice goes until 6:30, and so it's hard to get dinner stuff done. Anyway,
sounds like you got to like
the fall sucks.
Hire your kids to be a bunch of maitre d's, set up a little candlelight dinner with your wife.
There we go.
Another kid come out and pour you like a soignier and like giving you some wine, and got Ethan in the background playing some smooth jazz. Yeah.
We used to have this thing that we called Pandemic Diner. Pandemic Diner would be like the kids would make menus, and it would be Pandemic Diner on the top, and they would like serve us dinner, and they liked it because then we would have like a date, and they would go upstairs and watch TV, and they got the extra TV in. So our servers weren't that attentive, but that was okay.
So your major bitch is that you're just not able to ride your bike enough, huh?
Can't get any biking in, and it's the fall's stupid. It's stupid busy.
Yeah.
And I think there's a large number of parents that are out there that look at their calendars and just are like,
freaking
what the hell? what the hell?
How am I doing all this?
It makes no sense. Yeah. So
I'm sure you got plenty of other stuff to complain about. We'll come back to that in just a minute.
Come right home back.
Hepler.
What
do you got to complain about today?
Honestly, nothing after listening to that.
I'm busy, but it's all good things, right? Where I'm like doing, I'm busy doing fun things. I'm coaching kids and
that's true.
And scrubbing toilets and
I had my kids closer together so they could drive each other once one was old enough. You just need your kids to be older, then they can drive themselves.
They'll get there. I think we're like 2 years away from that.
That was really good times for about 2 years for me, and then all of a sudden it's back to the drawing board.
And then one's gone.
Yeah.
You got another one. He doesn't turn 16 for, until next summer. So he's going to go through his whole sophomore year, not able to drive.
So he's young for a sophomore.
Yeah.
He could be a freshman.
He could be. We thought about that for a moment, and we just...
He needs this for the sports factor. He needs this thing with Ethan. He could be a freshman, or he could be in 8th grade if we wanted to.
Yeah. Scholastically speaking, he's like ahead of the curve. Yeah. From an athletic standpoint, I'd say he's just average. But I mean, if he had an extra year, that would be huge for him. So, but anyway, neither here nor there. What you got to bitch about?
Well, the things I want to bitch about really aren't things I should bitch about.
Bring it.
Gravel cycling. People get riding on the wrong side of the road.
Kate, that whole thing. This is I'll go back to Champ Bailey. But,
okay.
But this is Lance now speaking.
Okay, yeah, it's hard. It's hard for us sometimes. You guys have a little of a similar look.
We sound similar.
You sound
and
very
look
similar.
Exactly the same.
Very similar.
But this fact that on these open gravel races that the roads aren't closed.
Yep.
And every single pre-race meeting, they all say, stay right of center. The roads aren't closed.
Exactly.
Do not cut the corners. You're going to meet somebody coming the other way. And people still do it.
Thankfully, nobody got hurt there, but that's got to be something that they can use as this is what we're talking about. That could have been people getting pummeled, destroyed, killed. It could have been terrible.
One of the stories is that it was such a close call that a truck was coming from the right, ran stop signs, and actually destroyed the two wheels of one of the riders. Like the one rider just laid down his bike enough that the truck ran over
the wheels
and
not
him. So he wasn't injured. And they were like, the riders were spooked.
Oh, yeah.
They were all like, oh my gosh, we almost saw somebody die right here in this race. And the race was like 150 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't really start racing again for another hour. They
took it that long for them.
They took that long to okay, are we okay? Is everybody all right?
$1 million question: did they do it again?
I don't know.
Probably not.
Did they do it again?
Right on the left side of the road,
right on the left
trying to
side
gutter
of the road.
people. I mean, that's what was going on, right? I'm guessing there was a wind.
There was
crosswind.
There was a crosswind, so they were trying to go left. I don't know the entire story.
I wonder if you could spray paint a center line on these gravel roads like the night before.
It's a virtual center line. You're not supposed to go over the virtual
something
center line.
like that, right?
Can you complain about everybody doing it, or should you complain a little bit more about the people at the very front? Because in my opinion, when you're riding in a group like that and you're at the front, you have a fiduciary responsibility to everybody behind you to call things out, to make good decisions, to not run stop signs, to not do stupid things that are going to put people behind you in harm's way. Now, that person decided, I'm going to go ride on the left side of the road because there's a wind and I want to try and gutter people and I want to try and create separation so I can win this race. So it's self-serving and you're putting people in harm's way. Is that guy the a-hole, or is everybody an a-hole for following him behind him, or not self-pleasing themselves?
That's a great question. I mean, it's the guy in the front who isn't staying on the right side of the road.
Yeah, I mean
but they're rotating and they're not moving over, and the guys behind them aren't. The clip that I just showed you guys, John Borstelman was like sitting in 20th wheel, and the whole group was strung out, single file on the left gutter.
And he pulled it. He said, "I'm done. I'm out of this."
He's like, "I'm not going over another blind hill on the left gutter," and he just went straight to the right.
Was that after this incident?
Yes.
So that answers the question. Yes. They went back over there, and
yes,
it's like, fool me once, It's like, what are you doing?
And he knew that it was the end of his race.
Yeah.
And
that sucks to lose that way.
I'm just going to roll in behind because I'm not going to be able to go as fast as this whole group
It's a
is
peloton,
moving.
basically.
Yeah. So,
A-holes.
come on.
I bitch about that.
Let's be.
Knock it off.
We just need to be safe. We don't want people to die.
Yeah. We've seen this even on our own flogging ride. I have to talk to people like, hey, don't do that. Don't roll that stop sign where it's blind and the cross traffic doesn't stop. You got to slow down. Because if you blast through it, people are going to assume that you saw everything was good and clear, and it could very well not be that case. And it's been not close calls, but it's been like, hey, why did you just do that? There is a car coming.
Right. I don't know. It's funny.
The brain turns off when you turn into race mode. Yeah. That's why those guys are doing it.
I was just looking through Oval results because I was stalking people that I'm racing, and I want to see how good they did in other races. And and I ended up looking at the state road championship, the 50+ state road championship. The field was only like 18 people. Every single person had a warning for crossing the center line.
Wow.
So the Ober officials gave every person a warning because there must have been some corner that they blew through so fast that they crossed the center line. And he gave every person a warning. So
have you ever gotten a center line warning?
I have not.
No, I got one.
Crossed the center line in a race? I have.
Yeah, I've touched it, but I got a warning. It was at the time trials when it was Jack Frost. And we were coming up to the finish line, and there was a lady that was riding smack in the middle of the road, and I'm not going to pass her on the inside. I'm going to pass her on the outside. And for whatever reason, she decided she didn't even know I was coming.
Yeah,
she floated left, and I went around her, and I touched the yellow line, or maybe just barely crossed over and came right around her. And they still gave me a violation for that. It's like, you saw what happened. That wasn't intentional. I'm not going to grab brake. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. Anything else?
No, that's.
You got anything, Jake? You got anything to bitch about?
Yeah.
He's got a list.
I've got a small list.
It starts with Lance and ends with Epler.
Yeah. Well, I think I might have mentioned that I got a new bike. I still haven't built it up yet. I'm waiting for a couple parts, and I'm
Is it Envy?
No. I bought a new Factor road bike.
Factor road?
Yeah.
Yeah, a Factor Astro Vam.
Astro Vam.
Oh, I'm curious to see this thing.
It's a beautiful bike.
Is it here in the house?
No, it's not. It's hanging up down at the lab. I'm going to be building it up here. I've got most everything for it. I'm waiting for a new crankset to show up. I'm going with a little bit bigger chain ring combination. So kind of curious to see how that's going to come together. But I am so excited about this bike. The main thing that I'm giddy about is the fact that it's got a T47 bottom bracket. Yes. You want to know why? Because I effing hate press fit bottom brackets.
Yeah.
In theory, yeah, that's great. But you know how many bike frames have issues and are not perfectly symmetrical?
All of them.
And it just takes the tiniest bit. And the next thing you know, you're just plowing through bottom brackets. And if you want a decent bottom bracket these days, you can either go with, like the bulletproof battle tank, SRAM or Shimano, and they're going to be $40-ish bucks, and they're heavy and they don't roll well, and they just are completely encased, and they're going to be something that lasts you for a bit of time. Those are going to be $40-45 bucks. But if you want a decent bottom bracket, you're paying over $200.
Yes.
Those should last a lot longer than they are. And it's not necessarily the bottom bracket manufacturer's problem or that the bearings are going bad. It's the asymmetries in the frame. And it doesn't have to be off by much. Just a fractions of a millimeter or a millimeter.
It's hard to think about mass producing something, manufacturing things, and having a tight tolerance for change there. And that press fit bottom brackets, there's no room for error.
There's got to be some sort of racket going on between the bicycle manufacturers and bottom bracket manufacturers saying, just keep making them just a tiny bit off so they buy more of our bottom brackets. We'll grease you on the backside.
I hope that's not the case. I think a lot of people that are making those are like, we could standardize on something.
Yeah.
We should standardize on something. And there's weight penalties to, having something that comes together slightly differently, but come on.
The T47, it might have a slight weight penalty. It's minuscule at best, but
the quality
it's going to
last longer.
It's just where it lasts long. It's so many things.
Yeah.
So, and not for nothing, like how much does it annoy you when yours or somebody else's bottom bracket, like all of a sudden starts doing the whole squeaky thing?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. It's like, knock it off. Knock it off. And then there's workarounds for that in some scenarios, like the BB Infinite bottom bracket that's the full shell that'll go into some of these bottom brackets that are notorious for squeaking. And it's most notably because of the asymmetries. And so you have to press these things in there and you're like, oh my God, am I going to break this frame? Because you're pushing it through there and it's making the most ungodly noises. And then, eventually those bearings will wear out. You've got to replace them in that shell. You have to be so careful with, and if you mar it or do anything to it, you've got to get it out. Lance Hapler, you've had experience taking one of those out. You want to tell us how that went?
Oh my gosh, I've had more than one.
Yeah.
Well, we had one at the lab that was so stuck in we couldn't pound it out. I had to pull out a Dremel and my X-ray specs and sit there with the Dremel and cut the metal bottom bracket through like I'm doing surgery without going through the carbon beneath it.
You worked on that for like 3 hours.
Yes.
If not longer.
Yeah.
You're a champion for that. It was Carl Bailey, but yeah.
I did get it out, but it was freaking scary.
I just remember seeing that picture because it wasn't too long ago that it was about this time of year, I think, that you did it, but it was like 2 years ago maybe. But yeah, I felt bad, but Lance's like, I got this. And like, I'm like, all right, he's going to get it done like a half an hour. It's like 3 hours later. He's like, I'm almost there. Freaking
I didn't want to ruin the frame.
Yeah.
So I had to move slow.
How do you feel about...
How do you bill for something like that? This took us 3 hours. If I was looking at that, I'd be like, okay, this bottom bracket's stuck in here. We will bill you for our time, hourly
shop rate,
and just be like,
these hands are like surgeon hands. I charge $350 an hour for these hands. So Carl Bailey owes me $1,000.
Just shy of the cost of a new frame. Yep.
I know, right? Like we ended up losing money on that deal.
Is it all about Aero? Is everything about Aero? Different topic here. Is Aero everything?
Oh.
Aero is definitely not everything. Is it Specialized that says Aero is everything? Is that used to be their little?
I think that might be.
That was one of their things. That was probably 2 years ago or 5 years ago. I don't know.
When it comes to being as Aero as you possibly can, is it more aerodynamic to have the spoke nipples recessed inside of the the actual rim itself and out of sight, and therefore causing you all kinds of stress and anxiety when it comes to doing a multitude of things? Lance, how do you feel about those?
Yeah, I'm a little fired up about this. These Envy wheels that I have on my Envy Mog gravel bike, they are fantastic, except they have internal nipples. Does it really save that much aerodynamic advantage to have internal nipples?
That's a great band name. Some band is going to be like, internal nipples, please.
It's just a medical condition.
It's just a medical
But you can't... At Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder, I ended up with a loose spoke and couldn't fix it because I didn't want to fix the...
To take
get
to
to
tension
the
spoke
nipple,
and through the wheel.
To get to the elusive nipple.
This is going downhill.
It is going.
So you got to take the whole...
I had to remove the whole bra. Remove the tire. Remove the rim tape. Clean it all out, and then you can,
And you have to have the right tool too. It's like a special wrench that you have to be able to put in there that's going to fit over the little squared off nipple itself, and you've got to be able to turn that. And you also have to have the tool to hold the blade in place so it's not twisting, and then you get
twist,
and then you've got to go through that whole process.
And you really need a spoke tension measure device while you're doing it so that you can find them. Here's the other. So I did kind of fix that. Then I went to Steamboat, and the night before the Steamboat, I found 3 loose spokes on my tire. Obviously, I have beat the living hell out of this bike. It's been freaking fantastic, except for the internal.
That's
nipples.
what you're going to do to gravel bikes.
Yes.
They're just going to get beat to snot. I got the same set of wheels, and I said, I'm not putting this on a gravel bike. This is going to go on my road bike, and they're great. And I know that I can manage that a little bit more, and they're not going to take as much of a beating. I want to, because your gravel bike, you're going to have to tune that thing, and you're going to have to make sure that the wheels are straight, and you're going to have to probably change a spoke or two, and you don't want it to be a huge PETA.
Do you have a wheel alignment?
A wheel truing sand?
Wheel truing sand?
I don't. I actually, my wife...
Go borrow the labs.
My wife bought one for me for Christmas on Jake's recommendation like 4 years ago. I never took it out of the box, so I finally just sold it.
You did?
No. Yeah, I did.
Well, you live pretty close to the lab, so
I do.
You come by and work on your bikes there.
But so at Steamboat, the night before the race, I found 3 loose spokes, and instead of stressing about it the entire race, I just borrowed a different wheel. I borrowed Chris Surratt's extra wheel. So, and then when I got home and I took off the tire and I took off the tape, the tire was holding the rim a little tight, and so then I couldn't find the loose spokes. So I took off the tire, and all of a sudden I'm like, well, which spokes were they? I didn't mark them. I didn't. Anyway, so then you have to have the spoke tension measuring device to figure that out.
Yeah. Now, because Surratt had this issue with his spoke breaking, and it was on the same wheel, if I'm not mistaken, same MV wheel, and you guys weren't able to find a spoke to fix that.
No.
Would it have been easier or something that you could have replaced if you had a standard spoke, or is it just any spoke that would have?
If we could have found a spoke quickly, that was the problem. When we went to solve this problem, we had a 90-minute window to solve it.
Okay,
it wasn't like we had like 3 days to solve it.
Sure.
We had a 90-minute window. So we're like, okay, we have to solve this by the end of this 90 minutes. And so that's why he bought a whole extra set of wheels, because we just couldn't get it done. If I had the right wrench and extra spokes, which I now have because I have these wheels and I'm going to continue to race them because
they are fantastic
they're
wheels.
Great wheels.
That's their Achilles heel, though, if you ask me.
So, yes. So now I have everything that if this happens again at a race, I can fix all that at the van.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I had to buy like $100 worth of tools just to make sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Come on.
Matt, you got anything else that you care to bitch about?
Do we want to talk about prices of either electronic stuff or bike stuff?
Do it.
So in addition to the fall being busy, this is the product announcement timeframe because every company needs to post all their stuff out there, get information out, have a little bit of time before they maybe put it on sale for Black Fridays when everyone's buying, or maybe they won't put it on sale. Who knows? But everything needs to be on the market now so that people can buy stuff for Christmas. Here's the deal. Their pricing is just astronomical.
Too damn high.
It's like
the cost of
the watch I'm thinking about now is the Garmin Fenix 8. And so it used to be the case that like you could get that watch for, whatever, $600, $800. And I will say that you really have to compare apples to apples here because the watch now has an AMOLED screen, so you really should compare it to the Garmin Epix watch, which both of you guys have on right now. Okay, and so yes, you're not really comparing like a $800 watch to what they're pricing things now, like $1,300 for some of these watches, but still, it's still up at least $100 comparing like to like. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money on an already expensive device. And maybe they're putting in some margins because they're going to put stuff on sale around Christmas time. But a lot of the newer stuff that comes to market, maybe
generally
not.
Doesn't know. No.
Yeah,
usually you can get
not.
deals on stuff ahead of the new product coming out, or it's probably not something for the new ones that just came out that we'll see any kind of a price break until maybe like spring ish kind of time.
Exactly.
But, highly doubt you see
this. I mean, you can kind of cross your fingers and hope for a Black Friday deal, and maybe there'll be something somewhere. I don't know, but I wouldn't expect anything massive.
Yeah, we've talked about this before in past podcasts about how much stuff costs these days and how much things went up with inflation. And in some senses, it way outpaced, like almost 3x the amount of inflation, how much things went up. Are there things that are still up there sky high that you're like scratching your head? Like, why are they still charging that much? Why haven't they adjusted their prices? Why hasn't it come down? Things that have recently come down have kind of been refreshing. Is Wahoo just dropped their prices on their whole lineup of trainers, like their kicker bike, the kicker move, all of those things had like I think it was about a $300 price drop across the board.
Wow, that's quite good news.
Yeah. That's refreshing.
Yeah,
or we won't bitch
concerning.
About that. Or they're about to announce something new, maybe. Or
who knows?
We don't know. Like I would tell, like usually my rule of thumb is if I know the information, I won't talk about it. If I don't know the information, then like
speculate.
Wahoo hasn't. Then I like to speculate on like, well, maybe they're going to do something. So if you hear me speculate on stuff, that means I don't know anything. So don't ask me like, oh, what do you know? You know something's up, right? Like, no, I don't. I wouldn't talk about it if I don't talk about things.
But what's still too expensive out there that you guys are like, what's going on here?
All
what gives?
Bikes.
Yeah.
All bikes need like a correction to the market, I think.
Yeah.
And maybe they will. Maybe they'll see a correction if they're like, nope, no one's going to buy it at this price. Like maybe some of these companies will.
Yeah, a lot of your bikes that are your quote unquote super bikes from all the different brands that are going to be, Dura Ace or SRAM Red or whatever, those are like $15,000 bikes.
Yeah.
Those used to be $10,000 bikes. And just the notion of a bike costing $10,000 to me was like, what?
If they were like, okay, well, when it didn't go from 10 to 15, it went from 10 to 11, I'd be like, okay, that's land of the living, right? It's just outrageous to
And
market
what's
stuff.
crazy is like you take a look at that bike that costs $15,000. You can go buy a pretty sweet motorcycle that's got a lot more stuff. You know, granted, it's not apples to apples, but in terms of like just the amount of sheer stuff that goes into building a motorcycle, I mean, there's engineering and all that other stuff that happens there. You can get a really nice like race motorcycle, like a dirt bike or something like that, for $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 less. How does that make sense? How do you wrap your head around that?
And a decent used car.
Crazy. That needs to come down. Is there anything that's expensive, Lance, that you still kind of shake your head at?
I can't believe tires are over $100 each.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're right at $100.
Yeah.
I can remember it was a long time ago. I had an office manager, and this is a whole different lifetime ago, and she was fantastic. And we wanted to do something really nice for her. And she had this car, and she needed new tires, and she was like trying to save up for something else. So we surprised her and put new tires on her car. And I think for all 4 tires, it ended up being, I don't know, it was like $280 or almost $300 for all 4 tires. And I'm like, man, you almost pay that for like a set of road tires on a tubeless setup, and then you have to go buy the rim tape and all the other little things. And then if you're going to have somebody install that for you, you're like, you're right there. How'd that happen?
For a bicycle.
Yeah.
It doesn't help that I have like 6 bikes and I go through 15 tires a year on all those bikes. So it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, a lot of things have gone up, and I don't know. I think SRAM just had some price bumps as well. I know that their SRAM red chains, for a long time, they were pretty affordable in SRAM Redland in comparison to, say, like the Dura stuff. But I think they're damn near $100 now for a SRAM Red chain. And for a long time, those things, the MSRP on this was like, I think $60, $70.
Right.
That's a pretty significant jump.
Not anymore.
Things are too expensive. Things are way too expensive.
Way too much.
Yeah.
I know.
What else you got?
I feel like an old man just complaining about life in general.
Is this more of like a get off my lawn kind of thing, or?
Oh yeah. No, I don't know. I don't. What else do you have, Jake?
I always bitch about this kind of stuff, but I can't stand how cyclists are revered in society. It just really drives me nuts. And you run across stuff from time to time, and you'll see like a post on social media about like, oh, this person, like how it changed her life, and she commuted to work every single day and, you know, ride to and from, and it's made her a happier, healthier person. She spent less on, like, she still has a car, but she spent less on fuel, and like was always arriving to work happy and come home and happy, and she did it every single day. And then like, oh, that's an awesome story. I want to read about that. And then you kind of read the story, and then you go, well, and you see there's a bunch of comments in there, and you jump in the comment section, and like every other one's like, oh, those freaking cyclists, they think they own the road. Those freaking cyclists, they don't pay taxes. They shouldn't get to use the road. No, we need to charge them and make them license their bikes and pay for insurance and do all these things. I'm like, hey, like it takes all of my might and all of my will not to jump on there and start like
I'd
just
reply to every single one of them.
Flaming these people.
Cars. We all have cars.
95% of these people have cars, and guess what? They pay taxes.
99%.
It's probably even higher than that.
And their bikes are worth more than your car that the person's complaining about.
Yeah.
I just have this problem because like I just took Ethan to school this morning, and I was telling Lance this. It's like half an hour to get up there. We could have biked up there in 12 minutes. It's just like bikes make so much more sense.
Yeah.
And every city should be looking at their traffic problems and at least be like, well, we're at least going to have bike lanes. Like, and Camas is pretty okay in some spots and pretty horrible in others.
Well, the pretty okay places are a problem now, though, because there's so much traffic here because nothing is sacred in this town. They're building houses everywhere, and they're putting in all kinds of stuff everywhere. And the population is growing, and there's no new schools. There's no bike lanes. The roads aren't being, I mean, they're making little tiny things here. They'll throw you like a seed and say, you know, get your full day's nutrition off of that. It's like, no, knock it off.
That's the thing is like, I really think that whoever is in charge in Camas needs to be much more strict with building and be like, you don't have to like cut building off. That's not what I'm saying. This is not like the, you know, close the door on your way in or whatever. But like, I do feel like new builds need to be paying for infrastructure. Yeah. They need to be paying for it. Like, we got to have a second high school. We got to have roads that people should be able, everyone should be able to bike from wherever they live to the high school or elementary school or whatever it is, like safely bike there. And that's not the case currently.
You know, I'm not trying to say don't make a dollar bill. You can't live in this capitalist. We should have a capitalist society. I'm not saying that at all, but these developers are making money hand over fist, and they're coming in and like They're
probably struggling right now. I mean, I think like
how are they struggling?
Well, I'd say like 3 years ago when interest rates were basically zero, then all of a sudden like people are buying houses.
Still selling because
people want to live here.
They want to live here. And it's happening all over the place.
I don't think it's easy to.
There's a supply and demand issue right now, and the fact of the matter is they can't build the houses fast enough. And even with the interest rates being where they are,
they're still
double what they're still selling.
Yeah, I just think they should be strict with builders so that the infrastructure gets paid for.
Yeah,
and I think the way they worded things are like, well, these people are going to come in and they're going to pay taxes. We'll have more tax revenue and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, great. Let's do infrastructure now. Don't wait until 8 years from now because that's like the plan is to keep waiting. So I don't know.
Anyway, going back to my point though, all of the people that are just completely flaming cyclists and making this even worse. I mean, they're propagating this hatred towards us, and people read that and they're like, "Oh yeah, I hate cyclists too." And then we go out on the road and they're hammering us with their cars. Just like, what's wrong?
It was interesting being in Amsterdam and being like, "There's just you look at it and you're like, there is no way that this culture could come to the U.S. Like that's not going to happen." But it's just so nice that it's like everything is bike oriented. Like you are wrong if you're out with your car. You're like, oh, you feel guilty. Like
they're actually talking about making that whole downtown area car free
for Portland,
for Amsterdam.
Yeah. Yes.
Right now you can still drive and park down there.
There's a lot of cities that have thought of going that route. I think that was it like London. They had like Sundays where you wouldn't be able to. It was a car free day or something. There's been a couple cities where like they want to block off certain sections of downtown and just be like, open the roads to the bikes.
Yeah.
And even our little town campus could do something like, I mean, I think it would be more walking than biking, but like we have like our little main road. It's a very cute downtown if you've never been to downtown Camas, but like, and people can send hate mail if they want to, but I think that should be like no cars on the main street. Park and walk. Park and walk, people.
Yeah. Just delivery.
Delivery, yes, exactly. Yeah, I think delivery should be allowed for sure.
Yeah, good luck changing that thought process.
I know. I'm like, I'm up against...
The best way that you can change people's minds, though, just get them go for a couple rides, and they'll. I don't know if they're going to fall in love with it right away, but I mean, get them to go ride bikes and get some exercise.
There's no way they're going to yell at the next cyclist if they went for a ride in the past, I don't know, 2 years.
Yeah.
Like they're never going to yell at another cyclist again.
Yeah.
If they could. We talk about this. I don't know if you've pitched this before. It was like the punishment for any sort of whatever car thing should be like, oh, you're on your bike for a year or whatever it is, like drinking and driving, whatever it is. Like they will never attack another cyclist again.
Yeah.
They've done that. So
I would love that. Matt, you got anything else you want to bitch about? Anything else in the world of tech?
That's it. I shouldn't bitch and complain because I got all kinds of great things going for me.
Any kind of YouTubery, bitchery thingies?
People should be subscribing to my channel.
Yeah,
what the hell,
should.
people?
You got to go watch his videos too. He needs that AdSense to help offset this whole
offset the coaching.
Offset the coaching.
Yes.
Lance, you got anything else?
I got nothing.
Nothing else. All right. I think I'm good. I mean, the only other thing I kind of wanted to bitch about, but we can't bitch about it too much because it's getting better with time because of things like YouTube. Is just how we can share information with other cyclists. I just don't think that there's a good way because a lot of people walk into this and you get these elitist people or people that don't want to share. Like, I don't know, just I wish everybody was a little bit more open and inviting and doing whatever they can to like impart the knowledge and the wisdom and the know-how and teach
safe cycling on roads,
bike habits and good places to ride and how everything works and how to fix your bike and all of those things. But University of YouTube can help with a lot of that. So,
yeah, that's true. It'd be nice if there was like, I mean, some sort of way where it's like, okay, you get a license and you learn to drive. It's like you should basically have some sort. It doesn't have to be like that strict, obviously, but it'd be nice if there was like avenues to be like, this is the steps that you need to take to be safe on the road.
Gotcha. Let's stop bitching about stuff. You guys got anything positive you want to say?
No.
I love bikes.
Yay, bikes.
Yay, bikes.
Yay.
All right. On that note, let's jump into one last thing. Matt?
I always go first.
Per usual.
Okay, so we mentioned that I had posted a whole bunch of videos recently. In the past week, I posted the Garmin Phoenix 8 video. And that's a pretty fantastic watch. There's been a lot of updates. It's got a microphone and speaker on it now. There's a whole handful of other updates to it. AMOLED screen versus a memory and pixel display.
Was it the Venue 3, I think?
The Venue 3
had the speaker and the phone.
Speaker, yep. And so
have you used that function on there? Does it work okay?
It does. Like My wife has that watch, and so she was just like wearing it one time, and she told me, she was like, I answered a call on my watch and talked through it. She like didn't realize that it worked that way, and I was like, it's funny. You should watch my videos because to go over all the details. But anyway, so it is very similar to that Venue 3. The Vivo
Same, better,
Active
worse?
5 also, I think, has it. I don't think that there's a major difference.
Okay.
There's some other little things too, like you can now dive with this computer, scuba diving, or like they've reinforced the buttons and things like that, and so you can do a little bit more with that device. It's a great watch. I wish the price was a little bit less, but it's not. But it's a beast of a watch, very rugged, very well built. It would be a great option for people that are considering like a nice high end watch. I also released a video about the Amazfit Helio Smart Ring, which I kind of don't think is the best option for people unless you're already in the Amazfit ecosystem. And then Amazfit actually announced a new watch today, so hopefully I'll review that at some point. And then I also released a video yesterday about the Garmin Enduro 3, which I have on my wrist, and it's one of those like workhorse, last forever. I think this watch will basically go for a month. You can do something like 90 hours of GPS like running, and so you can run for multiple days with this, which it's really targeting someone who's doing an ultra run, and probably not even just like a 100-mile run, like a 200-mile run or something like that. These are the people that want a battery life beast, and this is the watch for them. So it's a great watch.
No
it does
flashlight
everything,
though, right?
Oh, you.
No, it does have flashlight.
Flashlight built in.
I couldn't remember if it did or didn't.
It's basically along the lines of a Phoenix. It's got a lot of the same features as a Phoenix, more like the Phoenix Solar editions.
Gotcha.
So it does have a memory and pixel display, not a super bright display. And it's a little bit lighter weight, and it's got a little bit more battery life. So that's the slight differences there. And it's cheaper.
So I was going to say something not to bitch about is the fact that it's less expensive.
That's right. Yeah, it's it was a $1,000 watch, and then they dropped the price by $100, and now it's about $900. So if you want like an affordable Phoenix that will go forever, like this is the one to get for sure.
Sweet.
Yep.
I use my Epics as my bike computer in cyclocross races.
Do you?
I do.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because I don't want anything on my bike,
Right, yeah.
and I might be switching bikes too, and not have to remember to grab the computer. So I use my watch, and it has been flawless. I've done that for the last
and you
couple
can get
years.
power on it and stuff too.
Do you ever look at it to check metrics? Like,
Nope.
You
Not
don't-
during a race.
Everything's RPE, huh?
It's race.
I realized I never did it before anyway.
Right.
During a cyclocross race, I didn't look down other than to see how much freaking time I had left, and then you go through a lap and you realize how many more laps.
I was looking at distance, and I was looking at like my normalized power, just to kind of have a feel for what my exertion really was, as opposed to what my RPE was. So interesting.
Yeah,
cool. Anything else, Matt?
That's it. Go check out those videos. There's a lot to see, a lot to watch. It's
cool. Epler.
We have the Harvest Cyclocross race number 2 this Sunday called Het Meer, which is at Vancouver Lake. They call it Het Meer. It's because it's a ripoff of a Belgian race that has a big sand section, and this race has a big sand section at Vancouver Lake.
Are you going to practice out there before?
No.
I wonder how the course will go. If it'll go like straight through the sand and then on the hard sand and then back and then up, like a little square kind of thing.
I think that's the plan, but we won't know until the course is actually. It was different last year.
Yeah, they cut some of the sand section out, right?
I thought it was harder
last year. They did,
yeah.
And this year they're making it longer. Where
okay.
That's the plan. I think is that we go through the soft sand to the hard sand right by the water's edge, down the water's edge, and then you have to come back up,
which pretty much everyone on the way back up is going to be carrying their bike.
It's not rideable. It's
rideable on the way down.
It's rideable on the way down.
And of course, along the water is rideable. But they can make that as long as they want to.
Yeah.
But
last year it didn't cut back up right away. It kind of was like a long sweeping come back up, but it was through the thick stuff, so you had to get off. There was
no riding it.
Yeah,
I think you pretty much have to, on the way back up, everyone's carrying their bike.
Everybody's carrying their bikes. It's just a little too soft, and it's too long, and it's just slightly uphill. And so it's faster to run. Even if you can ride it, it's faster to run.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm not actually looking forward to the sand run. That is not good for me, but,
does that
go out there and give
bug
it a
your
rip.
back?
It does.
Yeah. It's not easy. You're going to have to do it, 5 or 6 times?
Because you have to put a lot of power down.
Yes.
That.
Well, and then you have to run. You have to shoulder your bike and run.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one
Careful
to
on
go
your back.
spectate because
Yes.
there's so
Yeah,
many
that's true.
different things to see. Granted, it's a little bit more spread out than some of the other cyclocross races, but it's a good one to go spectate because you get to see a variety of things. Do yourself a favor and go watch people riding
That is a
into
good
the
one.
sand section.
You can watch that, and there's still a lot of the course you can see from the same spot with a lot
Yep.
of tight little turns. Do you say that was Saturday?
It's Sunday.
Sunday? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Also, Sunday, downtown Camas is the Camas High School Media Day. So football players will, and cross country, all of the teams are going to be downtown Camas, 4 o'clock, and that'll be interesting because they're going to interview all these teams. They probably mostly want to hear from the football team. We're talking about like media outlets interviewing all the teams, but the cross country team's going to put our 2 cents in as well.
Gotcha.
Go
How are you
post
guys?
up.
Are you guys ranked state cross country?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know. I don't
Football
think
team is
Really?
Yeah, just came out. The preseason stuff came out
like
like
top
a week or
5 or
number 2 in 4A, which is the
Oh,
biggest
that's good.
of all of Washington. So
Wow.
pretty
That's
solid.
really good.
They are coining them as being probably the most complete team. I can't remember which team it was that was number 1. They had a little bit more horsepower on offense, so it'd be kind of interesting. But
Who is the coach? Who's the new coach? Isn't there a new coach? He was the Mountain View coach for years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He moved over. He's a solid dude.
He's a great guy.
Great guy.
Adam something.
Adam, yes. Adam something.
Yeah.
That's correct.
can't remember his last
He's
name.
a super nice guy.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah, the other coach got wooed away. Was it what's the big team down in Oregon that recruits all their players? Gosh, because
I don't know.
they can recruit down there.
Jesuit,
Not Jesuit. It's
Catlin Gable.
No, it's another one. Anyhow, they wrote him a very large check, and he said, "I am going to resign from Camas, and I'm going to go
Really?
coach over there." So
So the coach that was there last year?
no, this was like 3 or
Talking
4
about
years ago.
Coach Eagle. That was
Maybe I don't know.
I thought he
Yes.
started coaching in college somewhere.
No, I'm told that he went to
Maybe
this
there's
other school. I can't remember the name of the school off the top of my head. I remember that was the school that my son was playing in. They were like, when he had a bad concussion, but that was like the only game that they lost, and they got destroyed. It was like 56-10 or something like that. And these kids were like freshmen. But I walked down on the field afterwards, and I'm walking by these guys, and they towered
huge.
over me. They were built like they're freshmen. I'm like, you guys look like men amongst boys. What the heck? And the varsity team's even better. So anyhow, they've got some ballers on that team, and it's for all athletics, and their booster club is just enormous. So
Yeah.
Matheson. That's his name. Adam Matheson. I don't
the
know,
new
it just
coach?
came to me.
Okay.
New coach.
cool.
Good dude.
Good dude. Good dude.
Right on.
For sure.
All right. My one last thing is there's about a 90% chance that I'm going to go out and watch you guys race cyclocross at Hetmere. So I want to go out there and see everybody because it's been a minute and I haven't raced this year, but I still kind of want to give back. And one of the things I like to do to give back is go out there and take a bunch of pictures and post them up for everybody and say, here you go. And then cheer you on and do some heckling. So you guys got any good heckles for me? Matt, you got a good heckle for me to throw at Lance?
Please heckle me.
What's going to make you cry,
You're
Lance?
supposed to
There's
ride
lots of things that make me cry.
Anyway, I'll be out there hopefully if all goes as planned. I do need to get a big ride in this weekend, and I'm hoping that that's going to happen on Saturday. And if it does, and the weather cooperates and the smoke goes away, that'll be that. And then I'll come out and watch you guys.
Cool.
Do that fun stuff.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, good times. If you want to come with me,
I know.
My race is at 10 a.m., just so you know.
that's fine. I'll be up at 4:30.
I'll be up at 4:30.
Brain's broken.
That'll
way.
be lunchtime for him. So maybe dinner. I don't know.
Yeah, my acupuncturist, she sent me a text. She's like, hey, any chance that you can come in at 8 o'clock? Get an acupuncture appointment. Oh, yeah, that's like my lunch break. And she's like, what? And she's like, oh, wait a second. That's right. And she starts laughing. All right, we are done. We will be back next week with another one of these. Thank you for listening. And until then, bye for now.
I never smile if I can help it. Showing one's teeth is a submission signal in primates. When someone smiles at me, all I see is a chimpanzee begging for its life.